You left it on the shelf.
What Shabbat is it? Friend, Shabbat Shalom to everyone. It's nice seeing all of you here this evening. We had a little challah crisis here. I want to share it with you, and just know that we did not need to call emergency management. But see, here's what happened. I'm driving into the parking lot, and then Chris is coming out, and she said, we have a challah problem. We only have one challah tonight. And I said, what do you mean one challah? She said, well, there was one in a refrigerator that we were using, and don't worry, these things can have so much preservative they can last to...
In the freezer or in the fridge?
Yes. It was in the freezer. Is that bad?
That's better.
Okay, so, and, these are preserved until the Messianic redemption comes. So it's really going into the deep future. So of course, the traditions, you have two challot, two challahs. And so what happened? Chris pulled it out, and then she looked at it, and she discovered, look. Somebody must have thought it was a hoagie. Okay, so, and I was very concerned about this. And Becky and Nathan knows that things like this will drive me crazy. I mean, this could drive me completely crazy. So Chris said, oh, you're going to do one challah tonight. Or just put the nice one on top of that one, and no one will notice. I said, no. So, okay, here, I'm going to give it to you. No, here. Okay, it's yours. Okay, so I know someone didn't chew it. No, it was ripped, so because I have faith that the people in New From Temple are civilized individuals. We're very civilized. Okay, so I'm not done yet. So I went out, and I bought another challah, and the crisis is over. But then I was thinking about, is there some kind of religious significance to this? And there is. Okay, and then I was getting serious, so I started looking at the laws of challah, and I don't want to get into all the details because the challah was one of the offerings, and challah is really not the bread itself. Challah is the part of the dough that is ripped from the dough and then burnt. I mean, to make challah is more complicated than you think. But I was thinking about wholeness. You bring your whole self to God. You don't bring little parts to it. I mean, it seems to me the challenge of all religious people, it's not just in Judaism, it's in all the serious religions of the world. There's a sense you have to bring your whole self to it. I mean, it's rather interesting in the Torah portion. Maybe this will be my sermon. I won't give it. But you start reading the Torah. Then I start thinking about the Torah portion. The Torah portion is about how the ritual in the it's called a ritual and ethical are all bound together to be in the process of trying to be holy, trying to be elevated in your life. So it seems to me that this is not it's a nice coincidence to think about it. We're not going to use part of ourselves. We're not going to offer just part of who we are. I mean, it seems to me the whole goal of religion is to be transparent and whole before God. In other words, the good parts of us, the bad parts of us, the noble parts of us, the not so noble parts of us, the optimistic part of us, the not so optimistic, we just bring it all. And I think that's the attitude of what worship should be. It should be a complete sense of honesty. We come in here, we don't have to have any shields or any kind of pretenses. We just bring our whole selves. So thank you, Greg, for taking away our partiality. And now we can embrace our wholeness. So whoever ripped that challah did a great gift for us. They did. What do you did you do it? No. No. I don't think you guys would do it. I don't think anyone did intentionally. So, Shabbat Shalom, we're going to begin our service with a nigun, a wordless melody.
Lie, 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 lie,
Turn in our Sidurim to page 7, and we call upon Joyce Hess to come forward to kindle our Shabbat candles.
Come, let us welcome Shabbat. May its radiance warm our hearts as we kindle these tapers.
Light is a symbol of God's presence in our lives. The Eternal One is our light and our salvation.
Light is the symbol of the holiness within each of us. The human spirit is the light of God.
Light is a symbol of the Torah's teachings. The commandment is a lamp, and the Torah is a light.
Light is the symbol of Israel's mission, as it is written, I have made you a covenant people to serve as a light to the nations.
Therefore, in the spirit of our ancient tradition, that hallows and unites Israel and all lands and all ages, we kindle the lights of Shabbat. Whoa, it's going to happen. Yes, it did.
Baruch
atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu le'hadlik ner shel Shabbat, le'hadlik ner shel Shabbat.
We praise our eternal God, creator of the universe, who hallows our lives through laws and ethical teachings. We are mindful of these timeless values as we kindle the lights of Shabbat. May God bless us with Shabbat joy God bless us with Shabbat holiness. May God bless us with Shabbat peace. Amen.
Friends, we are going to turn to page 36, and we are going to rise for the Baruch Hu.
Lie, 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 lie,
Let us be seated. Let me continue on the top of page 37. Ever-living God, your majesty is proclaimed by the marvels of the earth and sky. Sun, moon, and stars testify of your power and wisdom. Day follows day in endless succession, and the years vanish, but your sovereignty endures. Though all things pass, your glory will never depart from us. Help us to be your partners, that we may endow our fleeting days with abiding worth. Together, all goodness and truth come to you. May no transgressions estrange us from you, nor self-centeredness darken our vision of your purposes. Help us to recognize that which is just and more fully understand your will. In adversity and in prosperity, may the light of the Torah illuminate our path, and may we pray. Page 38 at the top of the page, let us read together. Infinite is your power, even so is your love. It may be seen through the history of our people Israel, through laws and ethical precepts, through statutes and ordinances. You have led us in the ways of righteousness and brought us to the light of truth. Therefore, at our lying down and our rising up, we will meditate on the Torah's teachings, finding within it the inspiration and guidance for our daily lives. May your love never depart from our hearts. We praise you, God. You have revealed your love through our people, Israel. Let us continue with Ahavat Olam.
Ahavat olam, praise Yisrael, Amecha avta, Amcha avta, Torah u'mitzvot, chukim u'mishpatim, Otanu limadita, al ken Adonai Eloheinu b'shachbeinu uvkumeinu na'aseh bechukecha, v'nismach b'divrei toratecha u'b'mitzvotecha l'olam va'ed, ki em chayim. Again.
continue with the Shema on page 39.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto, Le'olam, Le'olam Va'ed. You shall love the eternal God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. And these words which I command you this day shall be upon your heart. You shall teach them diligently to your children, and shall speak of them when you sit in your house, when you walk by the way, when you lie down, and when you rise up. You shall bind them before a sign upon your hand, and they shall be a symbol before your eyes. You shall write them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates, that you may remember and do all of my commandments, and be holy, holy to your God.
On page 42, let us read these verses responsively. In truth, the Eternal One alone is our Redeemer. Let us praise the eternal God who gives rest to the weary and hope to the despondent.
Let us ever acknowledge God as our Creator and hold fast to the Torah.
Blessed is Shabbat, the Queen of Days, which offers to our people enrichment of the soul.
Even more than Israel has kept the Sabbath, so Sabbath has kept our people Israel.
How blessed are those who observe Shabbat, who sanctify it with prayer, with study, and with friendship.
Let us rejoice in our eternal God and delight in the heritage of our people.
May our homes be filled with light and gladness. May our hearts be steadfast, trusting in the Eternal One.
The love of God is our strength.
We continue with Mi Chamocha, page 43. Whoa, 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 whoa. You know,
His
when the
guitar's out of
congregation is ahead of you, we know we have a problem.
He will not play an out-of-tune guitar.
But whoa. People need to know the context of what's going on here. This young man drove back from Nashville today and arrived in Kansas City at 4:30 p.m.
That has nothing to do with my guitar going out.
Well, I'm trying to build excuses for you.
I guess he didn't sleep last night.
He didn't sleep.
No, 3 hours.
Okay, good.
Here we go.
Yeah, la 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 la. Yeah, la 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 la. Yeah, la 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 la. Yeah, la 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 la. Mi chamocha va'enim Adonai. Mi chamocha nedar b'kodesh norat hilo. מלכותך יאהוב עמך, בוקע לפני משה. מלכותך יאהוב עמך, בוקע לפני משה.
We turn to page 45 and let us rise for Adonai Sifatai.
Adonai Sifatai tiftach ufi agit tehillatcha. Eternal God, open my lips that my mouth may declare your glory. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imateinu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Leah, v'Elohei Rachel, Ha'el HaGadol HaGibor v'Hanara, Elyon, גומל חסדים טובים וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה, מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן. ברוך אתה אדוני מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה.
You may be seated, and we continue on page 46, reading these verses responsibly. God of ages past and future, God of this day, as you were with our mothers and fathers, be with us as well.
As you strengthen them, strengthen us. As you are their guide, be ours as well.
Grant that we too may be bearers of your teaching, teachers of your truth.
That our tradition shall endure, and our people Israel will live, from mother and father to daughter and son, and all who follow them.
One generation comes, one generation passes. Each of us is a link in the endless chain of our heritage.
Students of the Torah become teachers, our faith and our ideals endure, our people and our values live on.
We continue on page 48. God calls our people Israel to be of service. May we fulfill this charge by exemplifying the Torah's ideals with all those we encounter in our daily lives.
May we have the grace to fulfill our mission with enthusiasm and with joy, always tempered by wisdom and guided by respect for other people's faiths and ideals. May our actions attest to the strength of our convictions.
May our conduct towards our neighbors, our faithfulness in every sphere of duty, our compassion for those in need, and our patience under trial show that the one whose law we obey is indeed the God of all goodness, the loving creator of all people. This teaches us that to serve God is perfect freedom, and to worship God, the soul's purest delight.
May our eyes and minds always be open so that we may see and welcome all truth, whether shining from the wisdom of ancient revelations or reaching us through the prophets of our own time. For God continues to shed light on every generation that seeks the guidance of the Eternal One.
The people of Israel shall preserve the Sabbath, observing the Sabbath in every generation as a perpetual covenant. It is a sign between God and the people of Israel forever. We continue with Vishamru.
Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat לדורותם ברית עולם ברית עולם ביני ובין בני ישראל ותראי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ וביום השביעי שבת וינפש.
Page 49. Grant, O God, that we may lie down in peace and that we may rise up again to life. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Guide us with wise counsel. Be as a shield about us, fortifying us against hatred and war, against pestilence and sorrow. Curb within us the inclination to do evil, and enfold within us the embrace of your love. Guide our going out and coming in to life and peace from this time forth and forever. We praise you, God, for you shelter us and all who dwell on earth. We continue with Hashkivenu.
Hashkivenu, Hashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, l'shalom. Hashkivenu, Hashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom.
On page 52, let us continue with Shalom Rav.
Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki ata hu melech adon lechol shalom. Ki ata hu melech adon lechol shalom. V'tov be'enecha levarech et amcha Yisrael b'chol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. ברוך אתה אדוני עושה השלום.
Let us continue in some moments of private reflection. Friends, let's turn back in our Sidurim to page 10. Prayer invites God's presence to lift our spirits. It allows the blessing and gift of hope to prevail in our lives. Prayer may not bring water to parched fields, nor mend a broken bridge, nor rebuild a ruined city, but prayer can water an arid soul, mend a broken heart, and rebuild a weakened will. Together, we pray for all people who are at this hour, are in sickness and want, or in distress of body or spirit. We name in our hearts those who are near to us and whose pain we feel pain. Let them know your help and feel your presence, realizing that they are not alone. Friends, we are mindful of all who are ill within our community, and if you'd like to share a name of someone that you're praying for this evening, I'd ask you to do so. I'll start over here and work our way over. Yeah, please.
Michaela Middleton.
Jonathan Cozen and Adele.
Yeah.
Westman.
Yeah.
Adele Levy.
Shatner, Jonathan, Marcel, Joseph Moshe, Marcel, Mordecai, and Kaya Ode, Marcel, Mordecai.
Okay, anyone else? Brad Londy. Let us continue with Misha Berach.
Misha Berach Avoteinu Mekor HaBracha Le'imotenu. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Misha Berach Imotenu Mekor HaBracha La'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen. Yiratzon imrefi, Yiratzon imrefi, V'egyon libi lefanecha, Adonai tzuri v'go'ali. Oh, may the words of my mouth, the meditation of my heart be acceptable before you. Eternal God, my rock and my redeemer. Oh, say shalom v'romav. Oh, yeah, say shalom aleinu. V'al kol Yisrael. Ve'imru, ve'imru, amen.
Friend, Shabbat Shalom to everyone. Some years back at the University of Wisconsin, a group of literary students formed a club. And the purpose of the club was to criticize. The members would submit stories, and it would be dissected heartlessly with no punches pulled. They just criticized each other. The sessions were so brutal that club members dubbed themselves the Stranglers. This was a masculine group, so the girls on campus formed the Wranglers. And they read manuscripts also, but the criticism was much gentler and more constructive. Every effort, however feeble, was encouraged. 20 years later, an alumnus made an analysis of his classmates' careers. And what do you think he discovered? He discovered that not one of the Stranglers had made a literary career of any kind. But out of the Wranglers had come a dozen successful writers. It's a really interesting story. The Stranglers had fulfilled their name very well. They took developing talent, and by excessive criticism, they strangled it. The Wranglers, by use of constructive criticism, lift their struggling talent to its feet so it could climb to success. Now, this is not just a simple statistic. It's an issue of great Jewish significance. The guideline for criticism is an important issue raised in this week's Torah portion. Only with just a few words, but I started researching this thing and my mind kind of blew away, if it had blown away already. The Torah states, and it's a very interesting sentence that you can dissect it in different ways, and I'm going to read it in one way, and some people could read another. Let me only read it to you in English. It says, "You shall not hate your kinsfolk in your heart," your brother, really. That's what the Hebrew says. "You should surely rebuke your kin, but incur no guilt on their account." It's another word in the Hebrew is hocheach tochiach, which means you shall certainly rebuke, criticize. So the issue becomes, what does it mean to rebuke? Or that's the translation. When must you do it? When shouldn't you do it? And how should it be done? Now, it's a very complicated subject. I mean, when people say, well, what does Judaism think? The Bible only really is the beginning of things. And one of the reasons that I went to the Jewish Theological Seminary for rabbinical school is that the focus was studying rabbinic material, like the Talmud and whatever. You know, I was no Talmudic genius, but it became how I look at things. So over the last 2,000 years, the rabbis over the time, starting with the Talmud and going forward, there were different views of how you deal with this issue. And there are two Talmudic passages that I want to share with you. And yes, I want to get out that at the New Reformed Temple, on Friday night, we're learning Talmud. Yeah, I want that out there. We're not talking about the weather. We're talking about something serious. I want that to be known, okay? Who's going to go out there and shout from this? We study Talmud. Deanna's going to do it, I can tell. So this is one Talmudic passage. These aren't complicated. One is from Tractate Arachin, which says the following. From where do we know that one who sees something wrong about his friend should rebuke him? Because it said one should surely rebuke. In other words, it's that doubling, the Hebrew doubling. Hocheach tochiach. How do you know that one should continue to rebuke if his first attempt doesn't achieve the desired results? In other words, you criticize once, it's not working. We are taught this from the emphasis expressed through, as I said, the word tochiach, which is doubled. And to what extent should one rebuke, the Talmud asks? Rav, the sage, says, until one is hit. Shmuel says, until one is cursed. And Rabbi Yochanan says, until one is scorned. In other words, you chastise up to a point until someone's going to say, if you don't stop, Alan, I'm going to hit you. So according to this text, one should continue to rebuke even though there's no possibility that his words will be accepted, even to the extent that he is physically assaulted or cursed. It's the kind of rebuking that keeps on giving. Okay, could someone repeat back what the Talmud says there? Okay, you could. It's very simple. Okay, let's go to a second Talmudic text. Not only are you to tell them we studied one Talmudic text, we're going to say we studied two Talmudic texts. Okay, so this is from Yevamot, and I love this, it's really interesting. It says, Rabbi Ilai, in the name of Rav Elazar, the son of Rav Shimon. Just so there is a mitzvah, a commandment to say something that will be accepted, so there is a mitzvah for a person not to say something that will not be accepted. Well, it's a mitzvah to shut up. Rabbi Akiva referred to this as a chovah, not commandment, but an obligation, based on the verse, do not rebuke a scorner lest he hate you. Rebuke a wise man and he will love you. That's from Proverbs. It seems that from here that one should not rebuke someone if there's no possibility that the rebuke will be accepted. In other words, what's the point of criticizing somebody who's not going to listen? Which makes sense. So there are two different views here. There are multiple others. I'm very much simplifying it. There are different views. One is there's an absolute obligation. Another one is it's based on the possibility of success. Don't waste your time. Now, I told you it was complicated, and one of the things I like about Judaism is there is an agreement. You have to weigh one text against another, and one of the things that's great about, I think, the Jewish approach to everything is that you have to think and discern. It's not so clear-cut. You know, if you want clear answers, Judaism is not the right religion for you. No, I'm very serious. If you want to, I'm not criticizing any other religion because every other religion has certain ideas and approaches. But Judaism is a religion that requires discernment. You have to actually think about things, and you're not going to get such a clear-cut answer. And it's okay. It's okay to live with confusion because it keeps you on your toes and you're always thinking. So, okay, let's keep going. So there's all this back and forth, and there's this great sage named the Rambam Maimonides who lived in the 12th century. And now I want you to just go out and say that not only did we study two texts of the Talmud, we studied a text in the Mishnah Torah of Rambam. You're going to say the New Reform Temple is falling apart. So this is what Rambam says. And it's a very nuanced approach. And this is very practical. Every one of us can use what Rambam is teaching us. I mean, we should have it in our desk, in our office, or under our pillowcase at home. So he says, he puts it really straight, he says, it's a mitzvah, a requirement for a person who sees that his fellow Jew, and this is the language he's using, has sinned or is following an improper path, to correct his behavior and to inform him that he's causing himself to a loss by his evil deeds. In other words, you have to tell the person that they're doing something wrong. And it states, and you shall surely chastise, admonish, criticize your colleague. Rambam seems to affirm it's an obligation to do it. A person who rebukes a colleague, whether because of the wrong committed against him or because of a matter between his colleagues and God, I want you to focus in on this because we're going to come back to it, should rebuke him privately. Privately. He should speak to him patiently and gently, informing him that he only is making these statements for his colleagues' own welfare, to allow him to merit the life of the world to come. I'm only criticizing you for your own good. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just trying to help you. And in this context, I want you to get to the world to come. Or whatever benefit you want, you can fill it in another way. If he accepts the rebuke, it's good. And if not, he should rebuke him a second or third time. Don't give up. Indeed, one is obligated to rebuke a colleague who does wrong until the latter strikes him and tells him, I will not listen. So you keep going until somebody, enough. Whoever has the possibility of rebuking sinners and fails to do so is considered responsible for that sin, for he has the opportunity to rebuke. In other words, if you don't rebuke something that you feel is wrong, you're guilty of the transgression yourself because you didn't try to stop it. A couple more lines. I mean, it's really good. At first, a person who acknowledges a colleague should not speak to him harshly until he becomes embarrassed. In other words, what happens is you admonish the person initially not so harshly, and then you increase the harshness until a point where the Talmud says, should you rebuke him to the point that his face changes color? In other words, there's a limit until the person's either totally embarrassed or livid. And the Torah states, you shall not bear sin because of him. He seems to be leaning to the point where there's a limit. For this we learn that it's forbidden for a person to embarrass a fellow Jew. How much more so it is forbidden to embarrass him in public. Again, criticizing, but not public embarrassment. And even though a person who embarrasses a colleague is not liable for lashes, in other words, you're not going to get whipped, it's a great sin. And our sages said a person who embarrasses a colleague in public doesn't have a share in the world to come. In other words, you got to be really careful. Even though it's an obligation, you got to be really careful how you do it. And then the final point, therefore, a person should be careful not to embarrass a colleague, whether of greater or lesser stature in public, and not to call him a name which embarrasses him or to relate a matter that brings him shame in his presence. Not embarrassing is just as important as rebuking. It's really, okay. So, Rambam's point is the method is as important as the intent. How we criticize is important as the obligation to criticize. There must be a humanistic dimension to it. Okay, so what does this have to do with anything? I want to share with you my own experience with this and in my own rabbinical career. And I know my rabbinical career is not different than other people's careers. In other words, what happens to you. In my experience, and there is one moment, I used to be a rabbi in Long Island, and I should get a Purple Heart for that. It was brutal, let me tell you. Ask Jane is in the back, she'll tell you. It was brutal, wasn't it? Yeah, it was brutal. Okay, so in my experience, the prohibition of confronting the other person publicly is probably the most relevant. And Rambam emphasizes even the most warranted act of criticism, it cannot lead to embarrassment. Okay, so here's the deal. I have been, and I'm being serious, we don't do this at the New Reform Temple. We're a whole, that's one of the reasons I love being here, and I think the temple is great. We're very civilized here and very thoughtful and kind, okay? But I have been at several board meetings in my 41 years of rabbinating. I don't know what the other would count. When a member of the board would raise a criticism directed to me in public. And I never heard of the criticism before. So I'm sitting there and someone, I don't have to fill in the blanks, you can imagine what it is. It had never been shared with me. The person never spoke to me privately. The person never asked for my perspective or my explanation. They just decided that publicly criticizing me was what they wanted to do. Guess they had a bad day at the office. My reaction has always been at that moment to say nothing, hoping that another person would shut it down. In Long Island, there was no shutdown. But after the fact, I reached out to this person. I would say, I was surprised by your comments. Your perspective is important. I want to hear them, of course. Yet I never heard them before, and I find it uncomfortable to hear this criticism for the first time in this public forum. Public criticism is forbidden in Judaism. That's not appropriate. it felt not like a criticism, I would say, but a desire for public embarrassment. And if you have some feedback for me, come to me privately and let's discuss it, and I will listen. To do otherwise is not Jewishly appropriate. To embarrass someone publicly is equivalent to murder. That's a pretty subtle. But everything I said was true. I mean, if you don't say it like that, no one gets it. It's not because your feelings are hurt. It's because the Torah is against it. Judaism says it's the worst thing you possibly can do. Even though rebuking is something that's an obligation, but you can never do it in a way that brings public humiliation. Now, this has great implications for us, the things that we do and how we say things to people. Do we say to people, just the difference between saying something, we're at the Only Shabbat, and we want to say something to someone, that's why it's proper. Can we come over here and say it? Whatever it is. Public versus private is very crucial in Judaism. Now, trust me that what the conversation I had wasn't pleasant. It usually leads to the other person saying, well, I meant no harm, yet, yes, I should have spoken to you privately, but I'm not always convinced that the remorse is authentic. Criticism given with kindness is a positive motivation is holy. That's what the Torah is saying to us. We do a great thing. Society depends on it. We're doing great good when we can point someone in a positive direction. Criticism given with insensitivity, thoughtlessness, perhaps even an ulterior motive is destructive. Let's choose the holy path. Shabbat Shalom. Okay. Let me see here. I'm going to pull myself together. We are going to continue in our service on page 368, and we're going to rise for the adoration.
Let us adore the ever-living God. We offer praise unto you, who spread out the heavens and established the earth. Your glory is revealed in the heavens above, and your greatness is manifest throughout the world. You are our God, there is none else. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומועלים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש הקדוש ברוך הוא.
Let us be seated, and we join together on page 369. May the time not be distant, O God, when you shall be worshipped throughout the earth, when unbelief shall disappear and error be no more. Fervently we pray that the day may come when all people shall be guided by your teachings. Corruption and evil shall give way to purity and goodness. Superstition shall no longer enslave the mind, nor idolatry blind the eye. Then all who dwell on earth shall know that to you alone every knee shall bend and every voice give praise. May all created in your image recognize that we are brothers and sisters, so that one in spirit and one in harmony be forever united before you. Then shall your reign be established on earth, and the word of your ancient prophet be fulfilled. The eternal God will reign forever and ever. On that day the eternal shall be one, and God's name shall be one.
ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
At this time, we recall the yurt sites that are part of the permanent memory of our community. Bernard Belzer, Dorothy Benjamin, William Burlau, Bernard Brown, Sam Brown, Byron Cohn, Walter Cole, Bert Stein, Sonia Golod, Leon Joseph Rosenberg, William Seit, Melvin Spitkowski, and Frank Strauss, and during the period of Shaloshim, Elaine Wise. We are going to continue with the Mourner's Kaddish as we rise, page 375. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabba, v'yamad yivrach yirutei v'yamlich machutei, b'chayechon uvyamechon uvchayerecho beit Yisrael, b'galav izman kari v'yamru amen. Yehi shmei Rabba mivarach li'olam omei omaya, yitvarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shmei dekudasha b'rechu. Le'elam and kol birchata v'shirata, tush b'chata v'nechamata, damiran b'yoma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the one who causes peace to reign in the high heavens, let peace descend on us and all Israel and all the world. And let us say, Amen. You may be seated. You know, this coming week, very complicated period of time for the Jewish people. It's Monday is Yom HaZikaron, the Memorial Day in Israel for the fallen soldiers of the wars of Israel and the victims of actions of terrorism. And the next day is Yom HaAtzmaut. And obviously, it's a really complicated period of time celebrating, remembering those who are fallen, celebrating the existence of the state of Israel and its wonders, recognizing the complexity and challenges of the war with Hamas. I don't really know even how to get into it. But there's two things that I'd like to share. One is that we've been given by the community Shaliach. I think we have 15 of them in the foyer. This box to help people commemorate Yom HaZikaron, the day for remembering the fallen in Israel. And I just want to say this. I want to offer a prayer that's a special prayer for memorializing the Israeli fallen heroes. But it's in no way doing this, we're not mindful of the horrors that the Palestinians are experiencing. I don't want people to think that in any way. But I'm part of this I'm just going to speak personally, I'm part of this Jewish narrative. And part of this Jewish narrative for me is there are people since the existence of the state of Israel who have died because they're Israelis in defending Israel or being victimized by it. So let me offer this, and I think this prayer is appropriate. May God remember the souls of his heroic children, the fighters of the Israeli Defense Force who fell in the wars of Israel. In defense, retaliative and security actions and during the fulfillment of their duty, including the souls of underground fighters and brigades who fought in the nation's struggle, all those who sanctify their lives for the sanctification of God's name. And with the help of God, the Lord of Israel's campaigns, they brought about the revival of the state and the state redemption of the land and the city of God. And they were quicker than eagles and stronger than lions as they volunteered to assist the nation, and they saturated our holy land with their pure blood. We could have a whole semester dissecting this. The memory of their self-sacrifice and heroic deeds will never disappear from us, and may their souls be bound up in the bond of life with the soul of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and with the souls of other heroes and martyrs of Israel who are in the Garden of Eden. If you want a copy of that, you may have it. I can give it to you. So the Shabbat flowers are dedicated in memory of Bernard Belzer by Irv Belzer and Sue McCord Belzer, in memory of Dorothy Benjamin by the Ziegler Davis family, in memory of Walter Cole by Ann Baum, in memory of Sonia Golod by Jim and Joyce Hess, in memory of Frank Strauss by the Strauss family, in memory of Elaine Wise by Lois Davidson and McGreg Davidson, and the Onig Shabbat is in memory of Elaine Wise by the Davison family. One more thing, we have to talk about toilet paper. The JFS of Kansas City is having an open house called Summer Splash, and some of our members are very much involved in this. But on Thursday, May 30th, from 4:30 to 6:30 p.m., and there is the goal is to collect 2,500 rolls of toilet paper, because I mean there's 2,500 rolls of toilet paper that are distributed each month by JFS. I mean, can you believe that? I mean, I don't want to be indelicate. Imagine not having toilet paper. I mean, just let's get real. If you want to get real, that's real. So we're part of that collection, and there's a bin here, and we want to collect it. So go to Costco, buy the biggest oversized thing of toilet paper, and bring it to the New Reform Temple. That's not a request, that's an order. Okay. And the book club is meeting on Sunday, May 19th, and the book is The Heaven, the Earth Grocery Store by James McBride. No one has chastised me yet because you're too nice and you listen to my sermon, but you should say, you have no graceful way of saying, Rabbi Londy, you forgot the counting of the Omer. Now, you could have come up in I didn't forget it, we're going to do it outside. I didn't forget. But you were in a dilemma. I mean, Ethan was sitting there saying, well, I can't tell him he has to do it. I'm going to publicly embarrass him. But Ethan is a gentleman. No, he is. I'm serious. He wouldn't do that. He knows how flawed I am, so he's just going to get over it. He's going to live with it. Okay, we're going to conclude our service with Od Yevo Shalom Aleinu, page 437, the bottom of the page, and then we'll join together outside for the Onig Shabbat, and the congregational meeting is Friday night, May 31st. Everyone needs to be here to vote in our new officers and to conclude our year. So let's continue with Od Yevo.
Od Yevo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yevo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yevo Shalom Aleinu ve'al kulam. Od Yevo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yevo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yevo Shalom Aleinu ve'al kulam. Salam Aleinu ve'al kulam. Salam Shalom. Salam Aleinu ve'al kulam. Salam Shalom. Od Yevo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yevo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yevo Shalom Aleinu ve'al kulam. Od Yevo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yevo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yevo Shalom Aleinu ve'al kulam. Shalom Aleinu ve'al kulam. Salam Shalom. Salam Aleinu ve'al kulam. Salam Shalom. Od Yevo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yevo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yevo Shalom Aleinu ve'al kulam. Od Yevo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yevo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yevo Shalom Aleinu ve'al kulam.
Shabbat Shalom to all.
I took it. I got it. All right.
I wonder if like maybe there was something blocking or some packing, something that finally dislodged. I don't know.